Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the unbreakable, the unmistakable, and the actually never, ever lateable TCP Live, coming at you live at 41 every Thursday evening on YouTube and available ad-free.
It's really bad today.
It's really bad. And Patreon. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Hope you're all doing very well. We were yapping. Sorry, we were yapping.
We actually were here, yeah. we
were here. We were watching all your comments.
There is something within the Indian culture. It's plus 15-minute tax, and we've actually within that threshold. So we're all right.
People were saying Alex was probably googling shirt sponsors. I won't comment on your spelling because I would look bitter. There was another one. Someone said 8 minutes late. Cheers, Alex and Rohan. I was 19. Now I'm married with 3 kids.
Oh God.
Alex is changing out his Man United kit. 7 minutes late. My cat could be deceased while I'm waiting here. There we are. Slower than your.
That's also an interesting way of spelling.
Of spelling what?
Deceased, is it? Is that right?
I think deceased, like dead, rather than disease.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Didn't want to go there.
Yeah. Hello, Rohan.
Hello. How are you feeling after a few days away from the clash?
Can I tell you something? Firstly, it's given me so much perspective on. It's so funny. Like, whenever you just step away from like the internet for a few days, you realize everyone just gets so angry about everything all the time. Just like it's basically I'm angry, and what's the thing I can be angry about? It's not the thing has caused my anger. It's I'm angry, so I'm going to be angry at something. I went camping, and I'm going to tell you all an anecdote. I went camping, and at 3 a.m. on the second night, I was woken up to basically loads of wind and rain, and I basically thought the tent was gonna collapse. It started like shaking. I was like, okay, I'll be fine. Went back to sleep. Woke up at like 6, and the it was like a bell tent, and the pole had started doing that, and I was like, right, we're getting out. We got all our stuff out. Collapsed. Can you see that?
God, yeah, I can see it.
The tent collapsed.
God.
I could have died.
Are you a seasoned camper?
A seasoned is a strong word.
Like, have you been around the block? You've been different conditions and
the different block. I would say when I was a kid, I did. I don't dislike it, but it comes to a point, mate, where I go, why am I doing this? I can pay for a bed.
Yeah, I've always felt this. Yeah. It's if you want to be one with nature, right? But you can be one with nature by going on a walk, or this
is my point, Rin. And Rin it was lovely to meet you. We had our director's box phone, and it was absolutely lovely to meet you. Rin is in the chat here. She says, this is why humankind invented houses. This is my point, is that it's not as if you can't go outside, as you say, and also have a bed. So I don't really.
Also, right, I think here's my thing about camping. If you do camping, you got to do it properly as well. You can't have any phones on you. You've just got to have yourself, piece of equipment, the old marshmallows, and that's it. And you got
the old marshmallows.
Yeah, the old marshmallows. I'm going very like old school traditional. If you have your phone, right? Imagine you're going camping and you're just on your phone throughout the whole thing. What's the point of camping then?
It's pointless. It's pointless. No, my phone was off. It was in the tent. Did I touch grass at least? I did. I did touch grass. So that's where I was for a few days with some friends. We go every year. We'll probably go in a yurt next time. But I missed all the fallout of the Liverpool game. How was it? Did you have fun?
Well, you know me, I don't really get into the Twitter arguments and conversations there. What I like to do is I'll tweet and bounce. Tweet and bounce. The best way to do it. And no, you give your thoughts, because I think I've been on the Latte Foam yesterday with Faisal, was on with George on the main pod. I think people know my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Because you did the instant reaction only, really, didn't you?
Did do the instant reaction. And this is why like the instant reactions are fun, and probably why you don't do them, because I've changed my position quite significantly, I think, since then. I think on that pod, I was basically like, I didn't think the subs were a massive issue. Like I still think like sub analysis is like, we always say, don't we? It's like
It's
Okay,
hard, isn't it? It's hard
if you
to
lost,
like.
if you
Yeah.
lost, the subs were wrong. Like you can't. It's so outcome based. I think I would weight it higher than I did on the instant reaction, and I was a lot angrier about the game straight after than I am now. I think realistically, when I take a step back, and people can be frustrated, and that's completely understandable. I'm not telling anyone what to think, but we didn't have Havertz, we didn't have White, we didn't have Saka, we didn't have Saliba, we didn't have Odegaard. And by the way, like if we didn't just I've said this, if we just didn't have Saka, I'd start to be like, whatever. But the list we didn't have was pretty crazy. We didn't even have technically we didn't have Eze if you consider that he wasn't, if you think he wasn't ready or Arteta didn't think he was ready. And we lost. It was 0.3 to 0.4 XG. We lost by a crazy free kick. I just can't get that angry. The only thing, and I was frustrated because I was like, oh. The only thing I will say, and I will stand by from the instant reaction that I have held on to, Arsenal are going to have lines this year that we need to get over. That was a line, and we didn't go over it. And there comes a point where we are all going to have to come to that point at some point this season where we get over a line. And we don't just look at it and go, yeah, but there comes a point, and there's going to be there's probably going to be 16 or 17 more big games, semi-finals, things like that. There's going to be more of those where the margins of the season are defined. That was the first one, and probably not that weighted that highly in terms of how important the margin was, but it was one. And I just am cautious of getting into that space, which I think we can on these types of shows. I met this guy today, and he's so lovely. And he said these really lovely. He saw me in the window of the coffee shop, and he came in. He was like, "Man, I really love your pod, whatever." And he said he loves you, loves George, whatever. And he said the reason I like you guys is you don't get emotional. And I was like, and that's a really lovely compliment. But emotions are a part of football, and I don't want to ever just get into that place of like everyone needs to stop being so angry. And everyone needs to stop being emotional. No, this is emotional. This is important. We need to win. So I think you can put the cold hat on and sort of look down at everyone and go, "You idiots, getting all emotional." But actually,
no. I mean, this is why I don't like doing instant reactions, because I am very emotional. Because that's why I like the day's break before actually giving thoughts and opinions. And actually, so on the main pod that me and George did, I saw one of the comments, the quote tweets on the account, and it was like, oh, very measured, nice discussion, etc. Which is a complete contrast to what you see on the timeline. And I'm like, my response is like, yeah, but it's one of those ones where like everybody's entitled to their view, everybody's entitled to the way that they want to react, right? And you do as you're pleased. And sometimes people, that's how they can kind of get it off their chest. Some people will prefer to get it off their chest away from social media, whereas other people will use social media as a way of doing that. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that person within reason is fully entitled to do so. And it's the same with me, like, and I was like, you see any of us at a game and we lose, we're going to be emotional. It's like, it's part and parcel. And I do understand that frustration. What I can't really get on board with is then just, making a judgment on what's going to happen for the entirety of the season, and, using past performance as a way of, believing this is what's going to happen in the future. Because, you said it before, like, Arsenal are going through change. Whether you believe in that change or not, there is clear change of what we're trying to do. But then you start to see open play XG numbers after 3 games saying, oh, see, this is the same as last season. Oh, hold on. You want to change, right? I know I appreciate the fact that we should acknowledge it at the very least. I'm not saying that you shouldn't look at these numbers. But at the same time, I'm thinking, give the team a bit of time. It's 3 games. Look at the 2 teams that we played in, United and Liverpool. The United team that Arsenal play is always different to the United that you see every single other game week, because it's a different type of match. So, yeah, that's where I sit on it. In terms of the subs, so I watched it back and I saw all the analysis from the likes of John McKenzie and other people, and I agreed with a lot of the takes. My own, and a lot of the takes were like, Arne Slot made some changes, post second half. Gravenberch mentioned it about the shift from allowing Arsenal to have that additional spare man in build-up because they wanted to have, that overload at the back. Common practice, 2 centre-backs against the centre-forward. And that allowed us to have a lot of the game at our feet as opposed to going aerial. And that's why we were very comfortable. Whatever you feel about Arsenal in terms of how threatening they were, or whether you felt we could have been more threatening, we certainly had control of that game in the first half. Second half, they started to change it. They went more man-to-man. And that was our signal to go longer. So we went longer, and that requires a lot of physical exertion. And we started to lose a lot of energy there. And that meant that we started to lose our discipline in our block, where the whole idea of when we were defending, and the reason why Marino started is because of what he could offer in out of possession wise. And actually, it was the previous TCP Live where you mentioned to me, Mikel said that Marino is the smartest tactically, in the squad. And when I'm thinking about all these things, that's why he started ahead of Ethan Nwaneri. As much as Ethan has grown off the ball, Marino is a more reliable operator in that regard, even though he has his weaknesses as a player. So the idea was to not allow the Liverpool midfielders between the lines, so our midfield and back line, to get on the ball, turn, face play. They can get on the ball and be back to goal. That's fine. But we can't allow them to turn. And Marino was very key in terms of stopping that entry pass and also trying to stay tight. And Gravenberch also jumping onto Van Dijk. But as the game went on, you started to see players fatigue more. And that was because we started to go a lot longer. I know I'm waffling on a bit, but there's something really interesting where Mikel said something post-match where he's like, when the ball was with Raya, we started to rush our actions too much. But actually, I don't know how you'd stop that because of the 8-second rule. If the goalkeeper has the ball, he has to release it within 8 seconds, or you concede a corner. And if Liverpool are pressing man to man, you have to release it quickly, and then they're forcing you to go long. They win it back because they're winning the 50-50s a lot more, and then you're back into that same process of now we need to defend. We get it back. Raya collects it. He goes long. We don't win the second ball, and it's rinse and repeat. So I don't think it was necessarily something like major tactically that stopped us, but I think the what Liverpool did tweak and the energy that we then was starting to lose because of the duels that we had to compete in, players like Marino, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, they started to tire. And then with the inclusion of Jones, this is where I do think there is a bit of weight with the subs. Jones, it wasn't a tactical change. It was like for like between him and McAllister, but that additional energy that he had, he was rolling off Marino quite comfortably. I thought that's when Mikel perhaps could have been a little bit more proactive and to try and shift the momentum a little bit more towards our way. But the argument that people will make and will be for Mikel is like, well, they still didn't create anything really, but you kind of felt the momentum was shifting a little bit, wasn't it, without them being overly creative. So that's my thoughts in terms of I think it was a very close game. Two teams cancel each other out. I likened it to the 23-24 Man City game at the Emirates, where there was nothing in it. It was a really good move from Arsenal for the Martinelli goal. It hits Ake and goes in as well, so there's a bit of luck there. And this time, Szoboszlai whacks a Bobby Dazzler in. So it's yeah.
I think that's really good analysis of Marino. I think in terms of just quickly, one thing you said at the very beginning. I will always say it. I mean, what Arsenal are thinking is, and what Arsenal fans think is just, you're never going to get a balanced view if you just look at Twitter. I'm sorry, you're not. And honestly, I think having some space from it gives you just a bit of that's some people who've been boosted by an algorithm with the angriest, the most salacious takes. It's not representative of what most people think. I always, and I know I repeat myself a lot, but it's so important because I think some people get lost in that. And the second thing is on the Marino thing. I think you're right in what you're saying. And on paper, people will go, well, he's playing a DM.
This is what I was just going to talk about.
Yeah, he's playing a DM. It's it's not. And actually, this is a point here, Patrick. So I'm really confused as to why we feel we have to keep playing this way with the number 10 leading the press and closing down the defenders. I've rarely seen that result in a goal for us. Well, I think it's less about so obviously sometimes we do force high turnovers, and that is an issue for us in terms of last season, certainly turning those into good situations. It's more about winning the ball back, usually with Gabriel and Saliba. When you have such a well-structured press and a press that timing-wise, you saw it with the Gyökeres thing. It's not to pick him out because it was his first game, but the Old Trafford thing, he was mentioned after the game. That was one of the many reasons that Man United managed to break us down a lot of times that day, because one person was slightly late on by India. That's the margins here. So we do win the ball back really, really well. We have two of the best big space defenders and aerial duelers in the world behind us, and that's how we win the ball back. It's not necessarily about how we create chances, even though when we do create chances, I think we could do better. However, all of that is I think you can go into the weeds and get frustrated. Oh, people are saying he got as a DM. People are saying, why don't people understand that this X, Y, and Z? And that's just my perspective on those things. ultimately people look at the result and they and all of that stuff, all the context around that. The result is what dictates the emotional reaction. So I just don't get too frustrated. I understand why people are frustrated at some people's responses to the game or whatever, but it just doesn't. We have to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like so all of that's a kind of a side note to the point that we didn't get over a line to me. So I understand people are frustrated, and I understand it on the surface that the Merino thing, even though I can fully explain it to and I agree with what you're saying, on paper people will view that as conservative. What can you do? That's probably accurate.
But this is but this is why. So when I did one of my tweets, I left it open where I didn't feel like that was absolutely the right way to go for this game with Marino. I didn't think, because I do hear the argument, right? So the reason why I didn't think Eze should start in this game is because I did think it was too soon, and I'll maintain that. I don't think it was right to have him from the get-go. But where I do see the argument is for Ethan Nwaneri to come in. I do hear that, because all summer pre-season, and we saw with the reports and with the signing of Madueke, Ethan Nwaneri is going to be Martin Odegaard's understudy. He is going to be the backup. So people look at that and think, right, so if Odegaard's out, it should be Ethan. And that's what we saw. We saw it against Leeds. He came on for Odegaard. He was fantastic. I actually think he's had a really good preseason. He's had a really good start to the season as well. I thought he was really good against Leeds. So then people looking at it and thinking, if we had started Ethan, you can compromise the press, and have that trade-off. But the trade-off is going to be superseded in a good way with what Ethan offers on the ball in terms of between the lines, because Liverpool gave Arsenal that spare man in the first half, right? So if you've got the spare man, someone is going to be free. And the way that we move the ball, you can always create a situation where Ethan is the free player in that space. And Ethan as the free player in that space versus Marino, you're obviously picking Ethan because he's got so much more quality to his game on the ball. And then that's where people thinking, that trade-off would have allowed Arsenal to have more attacking threat with the territory that they had. And yes, there may have been a bit of a compromise on the out of possession stuff, but what we could have done to threaten the goal, is where they see that. And and I'm like, I can't prove that. I cannot sit here and say if Ethan started, Arsenal would have lost that game. I can't sit here and say if Ethan started, Arsenal would have won that game. I don't know, but I understood why the manager did what he did because of it being at Anfield. And I think that is so important as well, with it being away from home and at a big club in that.
And that's what I was literally about to come on to. So, like, for example, Kieran52 said, losing 15% out of possession might be worth 20% in possession. Yeah. But I just think ultimately, we'll never know. B, this approach has won us so many Big Six games, and also like this, and also when you consider the players who are out, I understand a more conservative approach. Maybe it would have gone that way, but ultimately, all of that is I almost view it like in an analysis box. The room is painted red. We need to win a game, and like so. I understand getting out the analysis box and shaking it at the wall and going, but look at this. Yeah, this is the year, and we are probably going to end up in situations this year where we lose games, and actually there was a really good reason for this to happen, but
this is it.
Or we can explain it.
Do you know what it is as well? Like, so I remember when we were doing one of the main pods, and I think we were talking as a trio, me and George, and we were like, and the argument was, we'll be fine in the Big Six. Our record in the Big Six is fantastic. But then I was thinking, well, as good as we have been, and the sample gives us the confidence to go into these games, past performance doesn't always equal future performances as well, don't they? And future results. And like, I do think, though, with the Big Six record, there's a really strong argument to suggest that Mikel knows what he's doing in these games because the record speaks for itself. But at the same time, I also felt where as the game becomes on an edge and we're not doing everything we can to win it in that second half, you then leave yourself with one of those sorts of things that can go against you, and that drives the narrative. And that's how football is for a lot of people. And it's,
and that's fine. And I also think if we are going to open the analysis box in the Red Room, we have signed players like Eze, who he will at least play the next Big Six game, ideally, who theoretically on paper fix these slightly more. You saw the impact he did when he came on. Crazy. So, Yeah, I just think it's a really fine marginy sort of game that to be honest, as Dead Zeppelin says, can we not talk about the game? I'm more interested in the overall direction, and I think we can over extrapolate from there. Yeah, let's move on from the Liverpool game. I should say,
yes.
Actually, no. I'll just give you. Let me just hand over to you something because I need to prep something. Thoughts on Daniel Levy leaving Spurs?
Oh, so I found this a really interesting topic, right? So you've got Daniel Levy as the businessman and Daniel Levy as the football guy. I think Daniel Levy as the businessman has been excellent for Spurs. Daniel Levy as the football guy, I think there's certainly conversations to be had in terms of has he done enough to get Spurs to where they wanted to be, Spurs fans. So then you ask yourself that question, well, it's Spurs, it's Tim Pot. Their expectations should be a lot more respectable. But I feel like there's been a lot of decisions over the years that has prevented Spurs from being able to take that next step. I do think that Thomas Frank is a fantastic person for them, and I know you absolutely love that guy. But I'd actually be interested to read a bit more about what Spurs fans think of him, because I actually think like there's no denying what he's done for Spurs from a business point of view. Like I saw Kieran Maguire's tweet about where Spurs were. Relative to now, the most profitable club, I think, in Premier League history. I think
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So that's fantastic. But then you also have to ask yourself the question of has he done enough at times in terms of having the right people, dealing with transfers, etc., certain players coming in and whatnot. But I don't. Yeah,
my overall feeling is like, it will surprise no one that I'm somewhere in the middle. I think there is like certain sections of Spurs fans that I just think you have lost your mind to think this man has been like net negative on your club. Like in terms of like the stadium, he's not on the pitch. Like he's appointed managers. He's appointed Conte, Mourinho. Like maybe it's not the right point, but he has appointed really, really good managers. He's just appointed Thomas Frank as an excellent manager. He's signed players. They've kept up in terms of, if you look at their transfer record, they kept up as much as they can. They've improved commercially off the pitch. All the stuff that, again, a chairman is involved in. He's done a lot of good stuff. However, it's easy to sit here and say that because between 2008 and 2025, they didn't win a trophy. And if we were making podcasts about Spurs at some point, even if that is the case, you start looking up, don't you? So I do get it. I think it's actually for me an opportunity, really. I mean, it's interesting they've gone for Vinay. It feels like sort of reading between the lines because they had someone leave, like a chief exec or someone leave recently.
Was that this summer? Last summer? Vinay?
Yeah, there was a few. I've got the Vinay was last summer. I think it was Cullen. I think it was who left. I think it's Pete. So Peter Charrington's taken over. Who was Cullen? Let me look at. I think it's her. Yeah, Donna Maria Cullen. She was leaving in June. They got Vinay. So and then obviously the trophy win. So I think it was it feels like it was almost like a long time coming. Maybe 25 years at Spurs, he kind of moves on. It's just the right time. But I think Spurs fans, it's it's basically up to the next appointment, isn't it? You could go backwards, which is quite exciting for us. But the scary part is, what if the Lewis family want to sell and they sell to Qatar? They're in a very, very good position as a club in London if they get, make the right appointments. But I always say this, there's only room for one really, if you, people sort of think, I go into this in expectations. There's 15 clubs who think they should be finishing in the top, George calling me. TCP Live. There's 15 clubs who think they should finish in the top, 8 or whatever. 15 doesn't go into 8, 4 doesn't go into 1 or whatever. That there will always be. I'm just going to keep ringing it. I'm on TCP Live. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. But basically, there is a lot of people who think that they should be at the top, and a lot of people. You can only have the best one innovator. You can only be the best. There's only one best academy. There's only one best squad. There's only one best goalkeeper in the world. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes we can get a little bit scared that they're going to go and do a Man City. Well, then where would Man City go, if that makes sense? You know what I mean? So I think we'll be okay. But it all depends on the appointment.
Do you know?
And maybe they get it right.
Yeah. Let's talk about the manager, actually, Thomas Frank, right? Where do you stand on Thomas? Because there was the big clash. I watched the game. Spurs Bournemouth, Iraola versus Frank. I feel like those are the two managers that we look at outside of the Peps, Artetas, and the Slots. I've always been a fan of Iraola, like more than a Thomas Frank, because I just feel like the thing with Thomas Frank. So, like the litmus test for Thomas Frank are going to be in the games in which the onus is on Spurs to take the initiative and to kill the opposition. And like against Man City, did you watch the Man City game, the Spurs Man City game?
I've seen some analysis of it, I didn't watch it. No.
They were incredible, like genuinely fantastic, like textbook Thomas Frank in terms of how he set them up. But then against Bournemouth, they got absolutely bopped out of the game completely. And I do think a big reason for that is also the fact that like a Sarr, Bentancur, and Paulinho midfield works great against Man City. But is that really optimal against Bournemouth? Who else do they really have as well? Like, and that's why I think the additions that they made, and that's why I think Spurs have made some really good signings. Javi Simons, Kolo Muani on loan as well. So they're making signings that make sense for them. So I do see them taking that step in terms of challenging for the top four. It's then a case of whoever comes in next, can they then bridge that gap to then sustain it? Because whatever you think about Arsenal not winning anything, nobody has looked at Arsenal and felt that they're going to regress and they're going to go, into a top four battle. We're always there. It's that constant sustainability of every single season now. It's becoming the norm that Arsenal are fighting for the title. It's a case of whether Spurs can take that jump up, in terms of being a top four challenger consistently and then a title challenger. But they made some really good signings. I have to say, it makes a lot of sense.
For sure. But it kind of goes back to the thing I said. There's so many good teams, and you may make all the right calls, and it's still not enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's ultimately outcome based, and I think that next appointment would be really interesting. Obviously, they've appointed Peter Charrington, whatever it is, but I imagine they'll probably bring some more business or football expertise in. I don't know, but yeah,
it's scary, mate. Just like Brighton, Man City, like Brighton. I wouldn't even say Brighton played at their best and they beat Man City. It's like as much as we know City's frailties, City on their a bad day versus a Brighton on their not on their best day should not equal Brighton beating them. That's what it's come to. So
it's so strong, mate. Yeah. It's so strong. And I just think about all the transfers like coming into the league, like Jeremy Pino going to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but that's just like it's a transfer. Like one of La Liga's best young players going to, all due respect, they won a trophy, a mid-table Premier League team. Mid-table Premier League team. It's just not even close anymore, and it's kind of scary for the football ecosystem. That's
Mukiele, the Leipzig defender, he went Sunderland.
I mean, Xhaka going to Sunderland.
Yeah, and I'll keep saying it. Sunderland is a shithole, but sorry.
Apologies to our Sunderland viewers.
Sorry. I've been there a few times. It's not good. Why would you go Sunderland? But yeah, anyway, it's close to Newcastle, and apparently Newcastle's very lively. So
yes, I got sent a really cool thing which I genuinely have not been paid to promote at all, and because I want to show it because it's really cool. There's a photographer called Larry Gorman who is at Larry without an A, and hang on, Larry Gorman photo, but it's LRRYGRMN photo PHTO. I'll put it in the chat as well. He sent me this photo book of last year of 24-25, and it's also with words by Clive Palmer. I think it's Clive Palmer's tweets, and it's literally just like little snapshot. Yeah. It's literally just like snapshots of moments like that's on like near Highbury and Islington, just like sort of moments from the games and stuff. And so it's like the story of the season. And some really cool photography in there. It's really, really nice. He sent it to me for free. Didn't have to, just reach out to me. He's a really nice guy. I said I'd put it on there. He's actually not even selling it. It's basically if you want a copy, he'll send it to you. So you can get one if you like. He is LarryGormanPhotography.com as well. He's on X and he's on Instagram and stuff. But he sent it, so I was really pleased. And I was like, I'm happy to like send a link or pay you whatever. He's like, no, he said it's not for sale. I see the book as a community project, so anyone who wants one can have one. You can tell people they can come see me in North London or grab a copy or reach out on Insta or Twitter, and I can try and sort postage. So he's a really, really cool dude. But yeah, it's obviously it wasn't the best season necessarily, but like it's a really cool, and there's these little like bits of like Clive's tweets, I think, sort of going through the season. So yeah, it's really, really cool.
He's got a great voice, Clive, isn't he? His voice is fantastic.
Well, yeah, you know, that's right. You know, what I know to God, yeah.
See, like you got, I think like, I'd love to have a voice like that. I hate my voice. It's absolutely awful.
Your voice is nice. I
It's
listened
too
back
Leicester.
to.
It's too Leicester.
Oh, well, you're a fan. I listened back to a voice note of me from like 4 years ago, and my voice is like here.
Is that mic tax though?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm more here. It's really odd. Arush.
That was when you had no beard as well, wasn't it?
No beard, no testosterone. Larry Gorman Photography. Let me put his website in the link, and then you can find him. Yeah, really cool guy. Arush says the state that our squad is in at plus Isak to Liverpool puts a lot of pressure on us. Not impossible, but it's difficult to see Arsenal winning the title. Mate, I just personally, and this is maybe going back to why I kind of put the Liverpool game where I put it analysis wise. I look at it. It is zooming out, but I just look at they're at Anfield at their home, supposedly the hardest game, basically on paper the hardest game of the season. They beat us by a ridiculous free kick where we had 5 or 6 starters out, and we completely matched them. We weren't better than them, and we made mistakes, but we completely matched them. I look at their centre backs and who this on that Leone guy.
Yeah, apparently he's really good. Apparently,
yeah, but he's also 18 and
who is he?
Yeah, like he's 18 and he's a centre back.
25?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
They've got Virgil, who's 34. They've got Konate, who's playing Duolingo, as I always say. They've got Gomez, who's always injured, and they've got an 18-year-old. Then they've got Bradley, who he's fine. I think because of the way he broke out and the story and stuff, I think people maybe slightly rate him higher than he is. Frimpong, who I don't rate. Kirkis, who I think can be got at, and we saw with Madueke. I just look at them defensive. They've also got a situation in goal, obviously, with Mamadashvili. I know Alisson is Alisson, but like I don't quite know how that's going to play out over the course of the season if they're going to be happy. So I just look at their back line. I think the Isak thing is a big concern. We could talk about that. I mean, they might just outscore people, but I see a red flag, certainly.
Yeah, there's a red flag with every single team here. You know, I think with Liverpool, I've seen Arsenal compete against Erling Haaland and De Bruyne. You know, like you know, we are not
prime.
Prime, right? We should be used to.
We're the worst team.
Yeah, we should be used to competing with these types of attackers and forwards. It is scary. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say Liverpool signing Alexander Isak equals. Don't worry, Arsenal fans. Everything's going to be fine.
It's a big concern.
Yeah, they got Burnley next. He's probably going to cash in 2 goals at least there. You know, so it is a cause for concern. But I do think that Liverpool's squad is really imbalanced. Now, if they are able to maintain the record that they did last season in terms of fitness and health, they'll be difficult, and it'll go right towards it. We're going to need to be at our absolute best to win it. But mate, I can't. They're gonna pick up injuries, and also it's not going to be all plain sailing because, as we just alluded to, the Premier League is becoming so much more competitive and harder. You know, every game's like I'll watch Leeds against Newcastle. I'm not saying Leeds are going to save us against Liverpool, but Leeds are decent. Leeds are decent. You know,
we did spank them, but yeah.
but even Burnley, I've been watching Burnley. They look all right as well. Sunderland got 2 wins. It's going to be a long season, and I think for me, we've always said it. Like if we had thought Arsenal were going to win the league last season with the window that we had, in hindsight, looking back, not a very good one. Why would we not be confident now with the window that we've just had? And, you know, we're saying the same thing of, you know, good level of health in terms of injuries. We've got players to come in as contingency in the event of certain things happening. We'll be there. We genuinely will be there. And I think I think Sunday should give you the confidence that we'll be there at the very least. You can be frustrated with setup, outcome, etc. But surely you can see Arsenal being a team that is going to be there. Like, surely.
I think so. And I think I said last week, pre-Isak, I see Arsenal as like just favourites. I put it about 50-50 now because I think Isak ultimately is the best striker in the league, or, you know, certainly one of. So, but ultimately this comes back to, we have red flags, they have red flags. Who deals with the red flags better? But I don't want to write Liverpool off as I did at points last season, which I probably shouldn't have. But I also don't want to overplay how good they are, because there is a big red flag for them, and there's a red flag for us, and it's just about who can do better. And one of them as well is this, which I saw from The Athletic, which is basically squad churn by league position at the end of the previous season. So Premier League since 1996-97. So it basically takes you the league position at the end of the previous season, so 1st to 17th, and how much churn they had. So if you finished 17th, how much churn is minute share overlap versus previous season. As you can see from that, so I'm just trying to explain it for people who can't hear it. Can't see it, sorry. You can see the more consistent teams tend to do better. That is the trend. And Liverpool this summer have changed both the fullbacks, and they've changed 3 of their forward players in Ekitike, Wirtz, and Isak. Now, you could just go, what does it matter? It's Ekitike, Wirtz, and Isak. Yeah, but like, I think it does take some time to gel, and we've seen that chemistry matters. So yeah, I don't know. That you could just say, oh, it's just copium. I don't know. I think there's some red flags in their team, basically, is what I'm trying to say, as there are in ours. And then we just both got to work on our weaknesses.
Well, a lot of managers have always said, like, you don't want too much change in your squad, because it requires a lot of, in terms of coaching and training them up to the new methods, etc. I mean, you'd rather only having to train up one new player than like 4 or 5, wouldn't you, really? So I think there's certainly something there. And yeah, they've all got weaknesses, mate. Like I watch Man City. I do think Man City are going to have a lot of troubles this season. I really feel that, because when I look at their spend, like if you look at Man City last season, would you say Man City were a team that was struggling to create opportunities? I don't think so. They were still creating. They were still dangerous. It was defensively and the distances and the fact that the midfield couldn't run, the fact that their back line doesn't have the level of athleticism that you'd associate with an Arsenal or a Liverpool as well. And they're getting cut open by teams in the same way as last season. I was talking to John McKenzie about this as well, where like when we press, right, and it's like a man-to-man scenario at the back, our individuals will follow the man. It don't matter where they go, we'll follow them because we'll back ourselves to win the battle. What City are doing, and you've seen it with Pep Linders, is they're pressing high. They're a lot more cohesive there, but they're playing offside more. And I have a feeling playing offside because they don't back themselves physically to outrun the opposition, the front line. Where if you play them offside, then you don't need to do that running. But
possibly
that was countered really well by Spurs. So maybe it might not be that. Maybe it's just it's a really small sample size, but ultimately I feel City's weaknesses are a lot bigger than what Liverpool and Arsenal have. And that's why I do think at the start of the win, because I didn't watch City in the Club World Cup and I wanted to see what they'd be like. And yes, I am doing it over a really small sample, but I just feel like Arsenal and Liverpool just have more cohesiveness, even though Liverpool have gone through a lot of change, where I think we'll be able to keep going for the whole season, while Phil City just are going for a transition period, which is crazy because they've spent a lot of money as well, haven't they, since January. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. And John did some really good analysis on City v Brighton, looking at like their pressing structure and their fullbacks being dragged and their centre-backs having to cover crazy distances once the ball gets played over. Everyone has the red flags. And I think this is ultimately the conclusion of this, isn't it? It's like
beauty of football.
Yeah, exactly. And I even though they have signed Isak, which is definitely, as I say, a step in their direction, of course it is. I just want to, I look at our red flags and I see levels to go with the fact that Eze has barely played for us, with the fact that Gyökeres is still developing, with Madueke, with Saka to come back in, with Ødegaard to come back in. And that's the area of the pitch that I have concerns in. Yeah. I don't see how Liverpool in the market fixed their red flags.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see how City did. So
how much is Eze going to change our lives, Alexander?
Oh, mate. Can't wait. Would you consider, says Afaf, doing scouted episodes covering past Arsenal players? If people were interested, yeah, possibly. I don't know how, like,
which player would you pick? Which player would you pick if I had to throw you?
Cesc.
Faisal said this yesterday. So we were talking about like Emirates era players. You could bring one back, like peak. I always say RVP. RVP was a monster. Like Alexander, he blows Alexander Isak away. Like that's how good RVP was on his heyday. Cesc also was. I feel like Cesc hurt me more though than RVP when he left.
RVP hurt way more,
which is crazy because RVP went on to win United the league.
Because also also the fact that afterwards he denied he was offered a contract. Absolute rubbish. Cesc, but like in terms of this team right now, RVP, I'd pick him. But Cesc, just because like he could just do everything, mate. He could do absolutely everything. And some of the if you just watch like a Cesc 06, 07 comp or 07, 08 or whatever it is, like some of the stuff he's doing, like the deep progression to like and the vision he has, it's a joke. It's like, and it's a different style of creativity from Mesut Ozil, the kind of final ball, whatever, slip balls. But
who
but like,
you rather?
That's what I'm saying. It's a different style. People think about creativity as a number 10 playing like a through pass from probably just behind the D or whatever it is, or like maybe drifting out and playing a ball in, or whipping a ball in. Cesc would like pick you out from the center spot. Do you know what I mean? And like and play the pass that like gets someone out wide to whip and across. It's he was top, mate. He was top.
I was always like, in terms of if you could pick one on the other, Ozil was my God, still probably one of my favorite ever players. He was a joke. Do you know what's annoying as well about Ozil? Like, go and watch peak Ozil like footage back at Real Madrid, and even Germany in that World Cup. His pace is insane, like ridiculous, like electric, and that is a generational talent. Generational.
So yeah, possibly. Yeah, I mean, if people are interested, let us know in the comments. But yeah, I'm not like in terms of, not that this is the thing that the reason we wouldn't do it is like I'm not sure it would do particularly well, that people would be interested. But if people are, then let's do it 100%.
Which player would you do to clown?
To clown? Yeah. I would quite like to watch Mustafi comp. Would I? I'd get you. Here's what I'd do. I'd get you on a Rob Holding scouted.
I'm not getting into it.
Emirates Sierra says, pray for me, guys. I've got my driving test tomorrow. Best of luck, Emirates Sierra. You'll smash it. I can't drive.
Oh, really?
Can't drive. No.
Damn. Oh, have you never tried, or like?
I always wanted to move to London, and I always need to save money.
Mate, you don't need a car in London.
Don't need a car.
You don't need a car in London.
Yeah.
I passed on my second attempt. But actually, let's get into this now, right? Because we've really opened the can of worms here. My first test, I should have passed. And that guy made me spend more money to then do it 6 months later. And my second go, I got one minor. That's it. The first one was 2 minors and 1 major. The major was doing reverse around the corner, and I'm reversing. It's all at a nice pace. I'm looking, constantly scanning.
Yeah, over the shoulder.
I'm looking. Want that shoulder as well. I want that shoulder as well. And then there's a car behind, and I knew it was there. And then the guy's like, there's a car behind. So you fail, whether it's verbal or physical. If he says something, you're done. And he felt like I was getting too close to a car behind. It was miles away, absolutely miles away. And yeah, that's how I failed. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Woke nonsense.
You know the other thing as well, what's really risky, right? What's really risky is when you back then, you're in school. It's all banterous. You're going through that phase. And I accidentally told I was doing my theory on this day. You can't, once you tell people that you're doing your theory, you can't fail your theory. Can't fail your theory. Just squeezed my theory. Just squeezed it. Squeezed it with the hazard perception.
How do you fail a driving theory?
So there's basically, I don't know if you are aware of it, so there's a hazard perception test where you're in front of a number of different scenarios and you got to click when there's the hazard. Yeah. And I think you needed like 43 out of 75, so it's a pretty good margin to do it. And then you've got the actual other test, which you need 42 out of 50 when I was there. That one I got 48, smashed that one. Hazard perception, oh my god, 1 mark over. Just squeezed it. Lord. Yeah. So that's my
is it your eyesight?
What, my eyes?
Is it your eyesight that you couldn't see, or is it just like?
No, if you click too many times, you won't be marked on that specific frame, or if you just miss it. And so I remember my last one, there was just sheep across the road, like bang, got that one,
bang.
So yeah, there you go.
Best of luck, Emirates Sierra. Rohan, you look so smart with your glasses. Beta.
Is
he calling you a beta male?
Beta male. Oh.
It's not very nice. And final one before we do thumbnail check. Would pay good money for Ozil, says Afaf. Yep, he prime Ozil. But prime Ozil in this team. Would that work? Not sure. Not sure. Let's do thumbnail check before we move on. It's a good one. I know I say this every week, but it is a very good one. This is excellent stuff from Forder. I haven't seen. Is Fallout a game or
It's
a
a film, isn't it? I've not seen.
a
Actually, it might be a
film?
game.
I don't know, but I guess the Fallout from Liverpool is good stuff. Don't lose your head with the little. Is that the hidden Rohan? Maybe it is. The hidden Rohan's got to be somewhere. Eze in the. I mean, I don't know the reference, so I can't really say what it is. But it's very good.
Game and TV show, Simon says.
It's a game and TV show. Where's the Rohan? Can anyone see the Rohan?
I'm never good with these.
I can't see the Rohan.
I'd be awful.
Let us
Where's
know.
Wally?
That's really good. I'm giving that a 9. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I back that. 9 out of 10. Can't be
That's
a 10.
very
Though.
good. God's sake. People, let us know where the hidden Rohan was.
Oh,
right. Well, I haven't even looked. I haven't even looked on my top. I haven't even looked at my topic list.
Getting that driving thing out my chest. That was good. That was good.
It was weighing on you, was it?
Good. Yeah. Didn't get appreciated for my scanning.
Okay. Let's look quickly at something that you posted actually earlier. I saw about Leandro Trossard. So there are some rumours from Sozju Spor saying Besiktas have made an offer worth 22 million euros for Leandro Trossard. Arsenal have not yet responded to the offer. The Turkish Super League transfer window does not close until Friday, September the 12th. I'm going to make a case to sell him.
Yeah, that's the case I would as well.
Yeah, because I look at the problem. Well, am I? Okay, here's the thing. It's quite a good deal for a player who we have just obviously given him a new contract, but he's still expiring. Is it in 2 years or next year?
Do you remember when we spoke about this before? So the contract that we gave was just a salary bump. So basically, the idea was we wanted to sell Leandro Trossard from the article that Gunnar's blog did. The intention was clear for Arsenal. We want to sell him. We want to be listening to offers. But then, as it came to crunch time, as it came to the season starting and the window soon closing, I feel like Arsenal began to fear whether we'd be able to get a suitor for Trossard in. So with Trossard staying and him being on a wage that isn't representative of his value, Arsenal needed to give him that bump before the season started if they still didn't want to extend his deal. So you can give him a contract now, but you'd have to extend the length of his contract, whereas Arsenal don't want to extend his contract. They just want to give him that bump to show that he is of value to the team relative to his peers, his teammates. But that's not to say that they still won't be looking to sell him. It was just, that was the only thing. So there was a lot of outrage on that, which
Really? I look at that money, I look at the age he's at, and I think, come on, Arsenal, this is the time to sell. And then I'm looking at the squad depth, and I'm looking at a Gabriel Martinelli who is horrifically out of form, or maybe not good enough, depending on your point of view. I'm looking at Noni Madueke, who, in theory, works off the left, and I'm still keen to see more sample. We've seen, 2 games or one game in there, but it's not quite landed for him there yet. We do have Eberechieze, obviously, but equally, we still don't know exactly where he's going to be in the team. We don't know how those dynamics are going to work. There's a lot of moving parts. We have Jesus, who can play off the left, but he's injured. Does it just feel a little bit risky?
That's what people were saying in the comments. They felt it was a bit risky.
But am I being a hypocrite? Because I've said before, if there's you never want to sell players who you're going to get good money for. If they're paying 22 million, there's a reason. It's because he's a good player who we need.
We've got to sell him.
Or we could need.
Do you know what it is? So we were talking about, why are Arsenal not great sellers? Right? Why are they? It's because of our inability at times. There's a lot of factors that I feel the club, I think it's a bit harsh to project on the club when I think about it more, but things that we can control. And actually, there was a journalist, I think he writes for the Mail, and it was a sporting director for a rival club looking at Arsenal and saying, why are they poor at selling? Is because they hold on to players for a little bit too long at a time in which their stock is high. And then when you look at the usage of that player in the following season, it's not of the same in the previous season. And then they become more surplus to requirements. And if you're surplus to requirements, then other teams know that as well. And then you have the contract and the wages that our players are on as well. It makes it really difficult. So for me, listen, if we look at the numbers game, we've got Eze there. Whatever you think about Martinelli, he's an option there. And then you've got Madueke as well, as you've alluded to. That's 3 players. The argument that you could make for keeping Trossard is because of the Havertz injury and the fact that outside of Gyökeres, you're then looking at Marino. Would you want to go with Marino centre forward, or would you be more comfortable with Trossard? But I'm like, now's the time. So I just don't think he's going to be playing as much as last season, and his value is going to start to depreciate more. When I'm looking at a player who's not going to give us the same as last season, I'm thinking 22 million euros, I think it's good money. And I don't think you're going to get that again, potentially. So I think the apprehension comes from the Havertz injury, though, as to why people think it is a bit risky. And with Gyökeres, who, he needs time, doesn't he? So, like, for example, Gyökeres was blowing after like 65 minutes in that Liverpool game. If Havertz was there, Havertz would have came on, Gyökeres would have came off. So I think there may be that apprehension as well, in which we're going to be starting to flog Gyökeres, game in, game out. And Trossard,
I guess so. I've just put a poll in, which is in the YouTube chat. Would you sell Trossard for 22 million euros to Turkey? Is yes or no. Have a guess. Have a guess what's winning and by how much.
I think yes is winning by 82%,
83% saying yes.
Smart.
I would have thought it'd be closer. I mean, the problem is that this is kind of where my brain isn't very good at this sort of stuff, because I can make you an argument either way. I can say to you, we've got to get better at selling players, and one of them is exactly what I was just saying about, selling players when ultimately you're like, oh, do I love doing this? No, but we should do it, and that's when you need to sell players. That's when you get value. We have Madueke, Martinelli, we have Dalman, we have Saka, we have Eze, we have obviously Gyökeres and Havertz. We have Marino, we have Jesus. Like, we have a lot of players. We have Harriman Anus, who I appreciate is a youth player, but is obviously someone we rate and is in the setup and has been given his debut and stuff. So he can play some minutes. Maybe you do it, or I can say to you, no. What I said at the beginning, Martinelli's out of form, etc., etc. I find it hard to know. My instinct
gotta sell him, Alex.
My instinct is this. My instinct is I think we should, and the reason I'm against it is because this isn't something we do very often. So we haven't got a like. I think Arsenal in the past, maybe what I'm fighting back against is us selling him and then us leaving ourselves short in January because we're on an injury crisis. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's basically what I'm worried about.
But that would be like, it was last season. It'd be horrendous luck, wouldn't it?
Waneri as well.
That'd be horrendous luck, wouldn't it? Should we keep a player because we're so fearful from last season, when the whole purpose of the deals that we did this summer was to not be that fearful this season? I just don't think he's going to play that much. That's the way I see it. And like right now, I know injuries can happen, but right now he's not anywhere near any choices that I would be looking to make, in terms of outside of the nominal starting 11. So yeah, I think take the money and run. I will say though, from the people that were replying to my tweet, apparently the article and the source is
a bit rubbish. A
bit pants. Yeah.
This is a good point from Peter, who's got a very cute dog in his profile picture. If we want to be Madrid of Europe, you can't be emotionally attached to players. The time in which we sell players we like is coming closer by the day. And to be fair, maybe this is just me and my sensibilities, because I'm like, oh, I like Trossard. But ultimately, what would Madrid do? Yeah. They would sell him, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Would you sell Martinelli? Going back to, well, I think you were.
I wouldn't sell both. My point at the beginning of the summer was, it depends what you're doing, but Martinelli's the more saleable asset. But mate, tanking by the day, isn't it?
He's in the firing line right now. I've seen a lot of.
I was about to come on to him. Okay, I'm going to say the hot take I had on Director's Box the other day, because I think people should hear it. I want to talk about Martinelli in a second.
Did you say it? Was it a hot take? Did you say it to me? Oh yeah, I know what it is. Are you sure? Yeah. I don't think it is a bit of a.
No, I'm I'm going to hold it back for another day, and I will say it at some point. I hate when people do this, but I will say I want to be more. I want to formulate the opinion a bit more. I don't really have like a.
Because I think if you'd said that,
justification.
if you'd said the way you did, I know what you mean by it. If you said the way that you did in Director's Box, people are going to take it the wrong way.
People
I
have
don't
got to go
agree
see
with it
or-
anyway, but yeah, I hear
People
what
have
you're
got to go
saying.
see it. But I said this also, and I'm sorry to be that guy. I actually said this years ago. Actually, I was right because I'm never wrong. I've been on this Martinelli thing for a while.
I know you have.
I've been on it for a while, and I really, I know this is like my catchphrase. I don't enjoy it because I want Martinelli to do well. But did you see this? Marco Bisot.
His head was on my mate. Imagine that was post the 3-0, wasn't it as well? Imagine being asked about that after 3-0 spanking.
Marco Bisot. Anytime you don't want to answer a question on here, just Marco Bisot.
Unai. I've always thought Unai has been very. You know more about this than I do because you were like forensically analysing Ange and how he was with reporters. And stuff. I've always thought Unai has been he's quite respectful to reporters and stuff. I think it's really nice, even at Arsenal, that he would always try and speak English. And I didn't agree when people would mock him. Like, this is a guy who's trying. I also think English is one of the hardest languages to learn as well.
I think especially it's really tough. There's so many rules that aren't kept. You know what I mean? There's so many exceptions to rules. Unai. I'm interested where the Unai Arteta comparisons have gone.
Do you know what you put that tweet out just after the Anfield game up?
Where's it gone, mate? Where's it gone, mate? Where has it gone? I'll throw the cat amongst the pigeons. I don't care. I don't care, mate. Interesting. I also think the whole Villa positioning themselves as like, you've spent like the fourth most in the last couple of years. Like, don't give me PSR.
Their wages to revenue ratio is ridiculous.
It's all on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Martinelli. So I just think it's run its race in terms of him in the team. Would I sell him? Is a different question, and ultimately, what do I do now until January? And I think if a decent bid comes in, and we feel like we can replace that with probably a younger profile, I would suspect I would probably do it. Because I do think that energy and that running needs to be replaced in the squad. I don't think we quite have that.
Yeah, I agree.
But in the team, he just needs to come out of the team, and I think it's as simple as that. Sometimes I think what we're guilty of, or certainly I'm guilty of, is like a player will show potential, and then it's seen as almost like wrong that there's something stopping him developing. We never consider, was the potential actually that high to begin with? We rarely do. Do you know what I mean? It's often like, well, a player shows you a bit of promise and they show you something really, so you assume, they must be able to do that then in 3 or 4 years. Well, what if that was the best that they could achieve? Do you know what I mean? Maybe it was. I don't know, but it's certainly something that I'm considering with Martinelli. And I think his confidence is shot, which is understandable because also you've got to consider off the pitch as well. We're signing Eze. We're signing. We're keeping Trossard around, and we're not exactly
starting Madueke against Leeds.
He can't be in the best shape, but then the question is, do we have space to rehabilitate that? And are we in that room? And we're not. So I just think it's a case of getting him out of the team and building him up again.
I think so. I said this to Faisal yesterday, where it's like, there's always been the feelings amongst that left-hand side in which it's not platform the individual, post 22-23. I always feel like at very basic level, what's happened post 22-23 for our left, we've got way better off the ball, but we have regressed on the ball. I think that's fair to say. And then we're associating that as the driver to why our left winger is not performing. But now this season, we are changing the left-hand side. So it then goes down to the individual. If you're still seeing the same performances from that individual, but we've made the changes that people have been asking for, all of us on the channel, in terms of, we've said the left-hand side is stale, and teams recognize that. So if that change is happening and you've got Eze coming in now who absolutely bangs, and then Martinelli is still not able to give us consistency, that's a really bad look. That's like an awful look. And it's his last chance to win. I really do think that this season, because as much as we, you can rate the play, you can rate the talent, you can say, we're not platforming him in a certain way. But if like, for example, there's the talk of, the conversation of Martinelli centre forward, he should get minutes there. If that's never going to happen, well, what's the point? What are we doing here? It's like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
As George and I have gone back and forth about this, and my position is generally, I think the platforming thing is just a touch overplayed. I think.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like this season, that you can't.
But it's not even. But it's not even this season for me, mate. Like it's like, sorry to say, but like he's played with Tierney, he's played with Miles Lewis-Skelly, he's played with Calafiori, he's played with Declan Rice in there, he's played with Marino in there, he's played with Jesus, he's played with Havertz. Like he's had a lot of pairings, and but I see the same outcome over and over again. And then you could go, well, then it's instruction. If it is instruction, then I should see individual development as well, because okay, you might be instructed to stand where you're stood or whatever it might be, or people might be instructed not to support you, but you would then get better at the thing that you're being badly instructed to do, and he hasn't done that. If it was instruction for him to run in those running lines that he does consistently, he would get better at it, because he'd be doing that in training every day. And I think it's just a capacity issue. It comes to a point, as you're kind of alluding to, we've signed who for the left-hand side? Madueke, Gyökeres to some degree, obviously, Nketiah, Eze, like, and you can make, you can say to, well, Xhaka left or Zinchenko, you can go through and make a very, very decent case for it. But like Martin Odegaard, him last season, I didn't see anyone going, well, it's actually all about that Saka isn't platforming him. Well, we never had conversations about Martin Odegaard going, well, he's just not being used correctly. Like it was all about him. And I said this in a TDK video about Martinelli, I think end of last year when I brought this up, and mate, it takes everything in my power not to go back on some comments and be like, how you doing, man? I'm not that petty most of the time. But I said this, I was like, I think his story at the club has held him back for a while, and now I think people are starting to wake up to it, because he came at the age he was. He's Brazilian, he has a bit of that flair, that Chelsea goal, like everyone loves him.
Feels like a Haylender as well, doesn't it?
Feels a bit of a Haylender, came through at the same time as Saka, like, the number 11, like we all so desperately wanted to succeed. Same as Smith Rowe. Like I remember having conversations with George about Smith Rowe, just being like, mate, like there comes a point where you love a player so much and you want them to work so much that it can
cloud your judgment, maybe.
There's a bit of a cloud, and we have to be a bit colder, I think. And I think for me, that coldness, I wanted that about a year ago, but we are.
Well, that's why I think for me, like this is where it becomes a really bad look if Eze comes in and then he slaps. If he comes in and slaps, then that's a really bad look, So yeah, I mean, I've always been someone, like I feel like it's a combination between the two, but at the same time, like I always felt like if you're going to sell Martinelli, it's the same as what you just said. If we're going to sell Martinelli, we do need to replace him with someone who is an outright runner. You could argue you could argue that's Madueke, and that's the theory behind that, because Madueke is electric, and I hear that, but ultimately, it is that type of player that I feel we need to replace him with. Let's just see, we'll have to see how it goes, because I think I do find it interesting how that Anfield game appeared to be like the final straw for him, because I don't think that Anfield game should be that final moment for him, because if I'm being totally objective, he didn't have loads of involvement in the game. It's a few actions. I think if there's like other games in which you could have made that argument, I don't think Anfield. Maybe it's perhaps Szoboszlai playing at right back and not being a right back. Maybe that comes into it. Maybe it's just the fact that we've got Eze coming in, and Eze, when he came on, did things that you wouldn't associate Martinelli doing, like that spin around the corner to pass Szoboszlai. So
it's like if I go, well, I went camping and all there was venison sausages. If I knew there was a Mackey's around the corner, I would be more annoyed about the venison sausages. But when it's the only thing you have, you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I want to show this, and I think this is a good point, and kind of what I mean about Martinelli, because this is Eze, and I have to be really careful with how it's a GIF. I'm going to chance it. Sorry if I get demonetized, George. It's just a really good way of surmising what the difference is between the two players. You would never see Martinelli going inside in this way. You would just never see that. You'd see him try and take on his man in these running lines. He might go in here, but he'd end up passing. He would never try and access those spaces. And actually, he has the direct running power to go and do that. But Eze just kind of backs himself, and there's that thing. And he has the support. And actually, what happens is he stops. The left fullback doesn't make the run and doesn't carry on or whatever, and drag the defender away. He literally just out of his own creates in isolation and gets inside. Martinelli just can't do that. It's not a case of this fullback isn't running alongside him, dragging defenders. He's stopped still. And Eze's doing that in isolation. And that's the difference. And Martinelli has more straight line running power than Eze and whatever, but
he did that. He did that for the past Odegaard against Liverpool as well, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I just, I think there's different ways to skin a cat, and I think we've spent far too long going, well, no, it can't be Martinelli.
Yeah. Do you know what it is as well? What Eze has is he's very intelligent in terms of how he uses speed, in terms of slowing players down, speeding up, and just going to Madueke, right? I do feel I really like Madueke. I do feel his performance has been slightly over-indexed against Kerkez, and the reason why I say that is because we're looking at that pace and it's electric, and he's standing Kerkez up, and that's great. But Madueke, the one thing that's holding Madueke right now back from going, and I think it's that coach, isn't it, that you've spoken about before, who really rates
Harry
Madueke.
Brooks.
Yeah, and
he's his coach.
Yeah. But I do buy what he said. I do buy what he says, and other people have said this thing with Madueke. It's like he has all the attributes. He has all he's a top athlete. His sprint speed, his acceleration, it's phenomenal. But he's going at 100 miles an hour. It feels like he's not slowing players down. So every single time you had Kerkez 1v1, you can beat him. You can with ease. You have all the tools there. But it's like he's going so quickly, and that allowed Kerkez to react every single time. So when he cut inside and he had that shot, Kerkez got the challenge in. When he went on the outside, Kerkez got in just to concede the corner. It becomes a little bit predictable. So I feel like with Madueke, and this, I know we kind of diverge, but I feel like he is someone who is so close to exploding, and I feel like that's where. Whereas you see someone like Martinelli, it's just head down, it's take it to the byline, on your weak foot, cross it or cut back. It's very one-dimensional. Whereas Madueke is someone where you just feel he's got more there, doesn't he? To his game to explode.
And I think to add to that, there's a moment where he actually burns Kerkez.
Yes.
And the right thing to do at that point, because he's got a little bit of space before the byline, is to chop back, but he tries to burn him again. He tries to get in. He's say he's here. If you can't see me, sorry. This hand is Madueke. He's got past him there, and he's still got space to the byline. And he tries to burn him again, and Kerkez catches up. If he cuts back, he uses that momentum. It's just those tiny decisions where he's trying to show you. And it's actually, if you just cut into that space, you'd have it. And he's trying to access the box a little bit in a different way. But he'll get there. It just takes some time. That's what was the first game for us on the right hand side. And I thought I agree with you. I think there was 2 or 3 incidents. I think because he was our bright spark on the day. Everyone was like, well, he was great.
Yeah, because I really like him, but it's he absolutely had Kerkez and toast. He didn't.
Kerkez did okay. He had some moments.
But there's the argument of we should have isolated Noni more. We should have done it more opportunities, more 1v1s, and there was that feeling that he would be able to burn him. So promising, very promising for sure.
Yeah. Nindo says, if you could merge the Arsenal City squads and the Liverpool Chelsea squads, Arsenal City and Liverpool Chelsea, which team do you think will win the league and by how much? Also, has Rohan mentioned the 22-23 season yet?
We have actually.
That's a very good question.
Yes.
I think Arsenal City.
Oh, merged and right.
Because I think you had the best. You have the best centre back partnership. You have the second best goalkeeper in David Raya, behind Alisson. You have, depends on the system what you're doing.
No, I agree. I agree because we've got Saka relative to Salah. I don't think, whereas Haaland versus Gyökeres, mate, I'm taking
It's a
Haaland.
big upgrade.
It's a mismatch, yeah. So I buy that. I buy that.
Eze on the left, and then you got Rodri, Rice, and Odegaard.
But they got loads, mate. Well, even if you didn't have Odegaard, they'd have a Cherky. If you wanted to make the argument for other players, they've got so much. I think it's hands down actually, because I think what swings it to City is because we have Saka. So obviously they've got the Salah, but you don't feel we need to go there with that position. Whereas Haaland's a different breed. So
yeah.
Great question, Matt. I like those questions.
That was a very good question. We'll come to all your questions at the end. Just going to do a couple more things. Max Stallman in the Champions League squad, and no Jesus. Thoughts, please.
Do you think the Jesus thing is because they don't feel he's going to be ready to go post until like
they've
January?
Watched me and they hate me.
Yes, that's what it is. But it's interesting because he has, seen those videos of him, so it seems like he is going to be closer. But part of me thinks they've not put him in the squad because the league phase will finish at around December, I think it is, or January.
Yeah.
They probably don't think he will be able to play substantial minutes. I think that's what it is, as opposed to right, you're out of our plans now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that.
No, I don't think so. But it's huge for Max. I think it's a really good bit of news for Max. I mean, I'm not surprised. The fact that he came on at the end against.
What are your thoughts on that, actually?
Mate,
do you think it was just Mikel like, I'm going to roll the dice?
Honestly, Rohan, I think I don't want to go too early on any of this, but I do the conservative nature of Mikel. Like, I think Elliot from Arsenal Vision said this: like a team just gets branded with something, and then everything's kind of seen through that lens. And I kind of do agree. Because if Slot was bringing on Eze and Dauman, that wouldn't be seen as a conservative move at all.
Yeah.
If Slot had the summer that we had with Gyökeres, Eze, and Madueke, it's kind of more of the same. And we're integrating those players. It's game week 3, so Eze wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Madueke played and Gyökeres played. Like they probably would have all played if they were ready. So I don't know. I like the Dauman thing. To be honest, mate, with the Dauman thing, I think I said this on the instant reaction. He feels like one of the players in our squad who thinks he's the best player on the pitch.
I agree. Yeah.
And he's 15. And honestly, that counts for so much in terms of your decision making. Just literally thinking, I'm 15. I've got the world at my feet. I'm going to go and show everyone what I can do. On the sidelines, he's like this. Whatever. Anfield. Don't care. There was no part of me. Instances with a young player, you're like, oh, come on, mate, you can do it. You've got a bit of like, almost like paternal, like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
With Dauman, I'm like, it'll be all right. And he's just got that vibe, isn't he? He's got that aura. And everyone can feel it, like, at work or whatever it is. But, you can tell when someone walks in a room, just like whether they've got it or not. And he's just got it. And
it's
so
like...
you look at your bench and you've got a kid there who looks like he's like, no, let me on. And he's the most talented 15-year-old in the country. I get it.
Yeah. I also think like that's dangerous for the opposition as well, where they don't know what to expect here as well. They've not scouted Max Dauman to the nth degree, right? That's what's really dangerous about it. I do think that probably what was in Mikel's mind is when we look at Dauman's impact so far, taking pre-season, he's won penalties against Newcastle, won penalty against Villarreal as well, and won a penalty against Leeds. He's made things happen, and Arteta's always been on about making something happen. Maybe that's it. Oh, there was one moment where he created separation. I was thinking, just hit it. And then I think that he went back and was like, oh, I think that could have been a moment. But I think the narrative is about, like why not Ethan, and why Dauman maybe, in that scenario. But I just think like, you roll the dice and you see what happens. What do you think of Mosquera though? I thought, mate, that was
mate. Yeah, that's got it. Obviously, understandably, again, back to because we lost. It's got lost. I thought he was even more adventurous in possession than Saliba. He was showing me stuff in possession that Saliba doesn't do. And it's like those diagonals into the center of the pitch when he's carried. Saliba always they both carry forward. Saliba will always play it 95% of the time, either straight on to a midfielder or out to Saka or White or whoever it is. Mosquera was playing these like diagonals inside to Rice, and I loved it. I really loved it.
I was so like I watched him back a lot. You did the scout with George as well. And I think one of the big weaknesses that we saw in Mascara was what I saw is like aerially he tries to win the fight as opposed to the actual duel in itself, and then he gets himself into awkward positions. He was fantastic against Ekatike in that regard as well. So yeah, I think we all said though, like, you're going to love this player. When you see what he's about, his physicality, the sprint speed, and the bravery, you can resonate with that. And we've got a baller there for 13 million. And I think people, you're looking back and you're thinking, oh, that's quite, it's quite surprising how young players came to Anfield and he delivered that type of performance after 2 minutes in. But mate, he's, as we've mentioned before, he's had the most minutes out of any under 21 the past 2 seasons. He's played at the Bernabeu. He's played at the Nou Camp as well. So, I don't think he was ever going to be fazed by the occasion. It was just a case of whether he'd not make, mistakes that would cost us, and he didn't. So
fair play to him, mate. Yeah. I just sometimes, like, obviously we sat here and think like, we need more, we need mentality. Just imagining myself getting chucked in Sunday 4:30 Super Sunday at Anfield. I would absolutely cack my pants.
Do a Gary Lineker.
Honestly, mate, I'll be gone. Right, last 15 minutes. Let's get as many questions in as we can, because we love TCP Live to be relatable, to be interactive, to be fun.
Do you know what? I had a mare actually on Tuesday, just thinking about it now. Wow. Bake Off's back. Great British Bake Off's back, and I missed it. Do you watch it as well?
No.
Oh.
I've been watching Love is Blind.
You told me about this last week. Are you in your phase, that Love Island phase now?
I watch it with my girlfriend, and it's one of those things that you stick on and you're like, yeah, whatever you want, babe. And it's actually really good. Like,
have you watched Love Island?
I did like back in the like Chris and Kem era.
Chris and Kem era.
Yeah.
See, I think like the 2 years before that was where it was really,
goated, as they say.
That's one word to use.
Manto says, favorite pitch grass pattern.
That's a really good question, actually. Did you like Leicester when they had like the zigzags? And...
I like the circles. I like the circles.
Yeah. I'm not too keen on the circles, actually.
Or just plain green. No pattern.
No pattern. Good luck for the linesman doing offsides.
But yeah. No, obviously white, but like just pure green, but dark green.
Okay. Tell you what, I know we're biased, but Emirates Stadium, the pitch is immaculate. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So good. Yeah.
I really, really, really would love to play on it. And I'm like praying there'll be some kind of some brand will be like, do you want to come play at the Emirates? And I'll do it.
Have you done the stadium tour?
Best time of life. Yeah, about like 16 times.
Yeah, so they always
say buy it for my birthday, and I'm like, thank you. I have done it like 12. I will do it again, actually, to be honest.
I did it with Charlie George. It was so good. And they're like, do not touch the grass. I'm like, no, I have to touch the grass. Just let me touch it. Like, and I blessed it. And maybe I shouldn't have actually, because we've not won anything.
That was what we all got. AFC says, what percentage would you give us winning the league? Genuinely, right now, I'm 50-50.
I'd probably lean... I think we'll win it, but I think I'd lean it 60-40 to Liverpool.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think they are favourites. Yeah. I think that deal was big.
You think Isak pushed it over?
I think so.
For me, it's pushed it from I had us as favourites in the post-Eze glow. Like 53, 55, something like that. 94, 95. And you don't know that reference. And then Scary Neville.
Okay. That was not good, that one. You've got better. You've done better before. I'm honest.
50-50. I would say exactly 50-50.
I always feel like you got to give like champions tax before new season, especially with some of the deals that they did do. So I actually had it like 50-50 before, and I think this tips it over for them. I think there should be the expectancy for them to retain it. Equally, there should be the pressure for City to win it. Equally, there should be the pressure for Chelsea to win it as well. Equally, there should be the pressure for Arsenal to win it. So, yeah, that's how I see it.
Can I say something that people probably won't like? I think Chelsea had quite a good window.
Yeah, it did.
I think, like, they had... do you know what Chelsea's net spend was this window?
Yeah, but you know what they like, though.
No, but as in, it's basically they run like a business. Like it's not. But like if you consider their net spend was 4.1 million euros, and they managed to get in Esteviao, who I really rate. Or Esteviao.
Esteval, I think it is.
Esteviao. Rate him so much I can't even pronounce his name. Hato, I rate him. Delap, I think, is a good centre forward. I don't know. I've been watching this week. Well, a few people. Achimpong at Chelsea, who is
George likes him. George likes him a lot.
I think he'll play. And Simas at Brighton.
Simas?
He's a Greek player. It's basically for something later on in the week, I have to do like the best U21 players in the league. And strikers, there's not really many strikers. And I was looking around. And
Walt Marder, whatever his name, Walt Mead. Walt Marder, isn't he under 21? Is he?
He's like 25, isn't he?
Is he?
He's 23.
Okay.
Yeah, and I looked at Simas, and mate, he's like sort of kind of Diego Costa-y in his movement, in that sort of very just like, he doesn't look that quick, he doesn't look that sort of sharp or elegant or whatever, but he just bags goals. Bags goals. An interesting player. And have a look at him if you can.
I've got a hot take on Chelsea.
He scored 2 against Oxford in the Carabao Cup. Go on.
Well, I don't think it's really hot. I think Nicholas Jackson is better than both João Pedro and Delap.
I don't think it's that hot, actually. I think it's not a bad shout. But yeah, I think probably defensively is where they're going to fall down. Obviously, because of a lot of their injuries and stuff. But I rate Hato. I rate Buonanotte. I rate Gittins. Garnacho, like, I hate him as a person, but he's still 21.
Mate, for the price,
yeah,
that's a top deal for the price. I think. What was it, 35 million?
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Hussein says, why do you think we're more willing to take risks around our box, i.e. Ride, Mendy, and balls across our box, but not in and around our opponent's box? I think you have to consider the difference in spaces. I think this has come from a line of commentary from Gary Neville, where he's like, shall I do it? I just can't believe it. The risk they take around the box. It's not good. It's not good.
I don't think coaches look at it that way. I don't think they see it as risky.
They don't see it that way.
Yeah.
So. They see it as more risky to pump the ball along and lose it.
Yes.
And I understand what he's saying about taking risks around the box, but it's much easier to take risks. It's much harder to take risks around the box or play passes like that when everyone's like this and you can't actually get through the shape. That's a way riskier pass because there's less space. I think ultimately, what I do agree with is the slightly like Tony Pulis thing of like, stop coming up from Championship and trying to play like Pep. I do agree with that. I think that's just stupid. But I also think the risk is worth the reward, to be honest.
I agree.
But when you have Raya and Gabriel and Rice and stuff, when you can take 6-7 players out of the game in one build-up phase.
I will say though, like, we shower Raya with so much praise, but there's one area I've always felt that he needs to improve on, and it is that central pass when he is under serious stress. I think he doesn't always make the correct decision. I remember he sold Declan Rice short against Newcastle in the Cup. He did it to Zubimendi, did it to Newcastle at the Emirates last season a few times, did it against Palace, does it a few times. Now, listen, it's a small weakness within his game. This is a fantastic goalkeeper, but when you get a bit of like nerves when they're pressing at that level and it's like, Raya's going to play that ball in there when it's not on. And yeah, that was that moment for Zubimendi. So yeah.
Yeah, I think George said it on Norris Reaction. He's like a goldfish though. Like he will play that pass and then he just like it's gone.
Yeah.
But that's also a bad thing sometimes. You're like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
It's the risk you take, I guess. I want to look at, obviously we're only 3 games in and we've been away to Liverpool and away to Old Trafford. But just stats wise, where we are XG wise, because it is something I'm looking at this season. So we are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're 6th for non-penalty XG. I don't know if that includes set pieces.
It will do. There's the stat that's gone around in terms of outside of set pieces.
Yeah.
XG, Arsenal 3rd from bottom.
This is something I'm looking at because last season we finished I always forget it's 6th or 7th for non-penalty XG, and for a team who are trying to win the league, it's just not good enough. Like you need to create more chances. But I think we've signed players who address that, who take more risks, who can beat their man more consistently, who can put the ball in more dangerous areas. Hopefully we'll have more players fit, Saka and Havertz, etc., etc. So like I think it will shift. I think it's more about the personnel at the minute. But if I see the personnel not solving the problem over a larger sample, then I will start to have bigger questions. On Odegaard, why doesn't he play in the block? Why does he always jump outside the block?
Discuss? Yeah, I've got a theory on this. I actually like it. I actually like the way that we're playing with our midfield at the moment. We're emptying the midfield a lot more, and we're allowing players to arrive dynamically. So usually you have the classic 3-2-5, as people would like to call it. You've got players in the pockets at all times. You've got players in certain positions who stay there to keep the opposition in a way in which they have to be wary of individuals in different spaces. What PSG did, last season, they would empty their midfield so much. Do you remember, Mikel, when he said post-match in the first game at the Emirates, like, we struggled to press them in the first 15 minutes because we weren't able to do something on the ball. And that meant that every single time they had the ball, they'd drop all their midfielders back, they'd control the game. And then what you'd see is Dembele starting to move certain places. You started to see Hakimi drift. You started to see Mendes drift. It was very flexible, but their midfielders were a lot of the time not in like number 10 spots. I feel like we're trying to do the same thing, and it's going to take a bit of time. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you feel like, I want Odegaard to stay in the 10 because that's where he can create optimally. I feel like teams have started to become, they've started to be able to defend positional, rigid teams a lot better. And I feel like this is a new way of playing that Arsenal are trialing. And I feel it's partly because of Zubimendi, actually, because of how comfortable he is through both sides laterally. Yeah.
I think the PSG comparison is a good one. And it also, like, I want Odegaard in the 10. Okay, but what if the ball's in the right back position?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like...
Also, what about Saka in the 10 then? Odegaard drops out and Saka's there. That's what we've been trying to do a lot in the first few games as well.
Yeah, so. It depends where the ball is. It depends what the opposition are doing. Yeah. If the opposition are like deep in their box, I like Odegaard higher in the block because he can pick those locks and stuff. But if they're quite aggressive in a mid block, he's going to get pushed off the ball. So drop him out the block. So I do agree with you there. Ben Arthur, Hatton Ben Arthur is asking us a question. What changes do you guys predict after the international break?
Is he a Streets Won't Forget baller?
Hatton Ben Arthur,
yeah.
More
he's in the Adel Tarat section, isn't he?
More than believe.
What you like eating your mic there?
We played again. I did a stag. I went to a stag last. Was it last Friday? Good lord!
Where did you go?
Flown by. Is that last Friday? It was last Friday. It was my friend stag who actually got married during COVID, and it's the first time we've all been able to get together. So,
nice.
So we had just a stag at home, and we spent the entire meal at the curry house naming Streets Won't Forget ballers.
Go on, give me them. Let's do that. Actually,
like Yakubu, Kevin Nolan, like it was all those
two guys, your Morton Gams Pedersons, your Asamoah Amir Zakis.
But what we kept coming up against was like, is he a Streets Won't Forget baller, or is he just like a good footballer you should remember? Someone said JJ Okocha. I was like, that's not a Streets Won't Forget footballer. He was just a very good footballer. We had this big debate.
What about Papi Cisse?
Yeah, he's probably Streets Won't Forget.
Yeah.
He's probably Streets Won't Forget. Like, but someone might say Demba Ba. I'm like, he's not Streets Won't Forget.
No, Demba Ba's not Streets Won't Forget.
Like, Vlad, love you because you're always here. Michi's not Streets Won't Forget ball.
Do you know who is? Maybe Wilfred Boney. Maybe.
He's on the cusp, isn't he?
Yeah, he did go Man City. He did go at Man City. Yeah, he did. Oh, I was going to say, what's that guy? Bafatimbi Gomes. Maybe.
Yeah, like Yannick Bolasie is the kind of. That's what I'm talking.
Yannick Bolasie.
What is a life saying you believe is false? That's the most TCP live question I've ever heard. Give us your thoughts in the comments. What is a life saying? Do you know what's funny? Is firstly, I think phrases that stick around, I think there is some kind of like ancient wisdom in them. Like, you are what you eat. And we're kind of discovering more and more that like toxins in your body, and like that's going to affect, like it's kind of right. And it's been around for years. Have you got one?
I'm not sure.
I
think there's an element of this, but it's not the drive. I think happiness can, being having money can aid it, but it's not it's not like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'd say, like if you aren't able to have certain things that you'd want, that could prevent you from achieving a certain level of happiness. But at the same time, if you were then able to buy those things or live a certain lifestyle, I still don't think that will be like the pinnacle of you achieving happiness, because human nature is all about wanting more and more and more. I think that's something that, people feel like, I get here, I'll be, I won't need any more happiness. I feel like once you get something, you probably want to get to something else as well. So
it depends what you define as happiness, because for me, like I think most people would define it something like a lack of want and like contentment. So I don't understand how. So I do kind of agree with it, because it's like happiness would be described as, I guess, a lack of want and a complete contentment with where you are. So therefore, buying something would be an indication that you weren't happy. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like an oxymoron. It's like you literally can't buy it because it's only achieved by not buying or not feeling like you need to buy. That makes sense?
Yes, we're getting very philosophical now.
Yeah, we are.
And it's approached 9:10 as well.
Oh, sorry, yeah, because we were yapping at the beginning.
That is all good.
Ryan's like, get me out of it. We'll do one more question and then Patrick says something he doesn't believe in is it'll all balance itself out in the end. Completely false when it comes to PGMOL. I'm not having this.
There he is, the defender. When's Alex's first stance of defensive stance of PGMOL?
I honestly, and people will hate, I won't talk about it. Like, if we get a bad call, I'll be like, that's horrendous. But I'm just not having the conspiracy conversation again.
No,
it's so ridiculous. Like, if you're an Arsenal fan and you think there's a conspiracy, like a genuine, like dark cloaks conspiracy against Arsenal, I'm not asking you to argue with me. Go and tell someone who doesn't watch sports. Just go and tell them, who isn't on Twitter,
ask a Fulham fan just recently,
or ask a Fulham, or just anyone who isn't an Arsenal fan on Twitter. That's all I ask. Anyone. 442. But I am Howard Webb's mate. Too much woke nonsense. I don't understand what you're saying there, Alejandro. I do work for PGMOL, to be fair.
You do.
That's true. Rohan, pleasure, as always.
Always. Yes.
I can hear your chair creaking again. It's back.
I feel
like we need some more iconic TCP live moments. I feel like we haven't had one for a while. We need
we need to start doing press ups again.
You can't fake an iconic TCP. Like, it has to come organically, doesn't it?
We need to start doing some challenges, actually, like push ups and sit ups.
Should we?
Pull ups and everything.
Maybe everyone should set as a challenge that we do at the end of every.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. Something reasonable though, like not getting my. I was gonna say something.
Bring back touch balls.
No, it's too long, Alex. It's like a minute. It's a minute. I'm thinking, oh god, it's too long.
Here's a good one. A press up for every minute we're late.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What if you're 2 minutes late? 2 press ups. You got to multiply it by 10.
Absolutely not. We'd be dead, mate. We'd be dead.
10 minutes, 100 push-ups.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for watching the Cannon podcast. Thank you, Rohan. Where can people find you if they don't know where you are? Are you only on X? You don't do any other social media?
No, I don't do any other. Rohan Jingle, AFC.
Rohan Analysis. And I am at John McKenzie. Thank you all for being here. Alex Nazi Penny. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching. And thanks for keeping it Arsenal!
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. This was one kind of queue the ladies thoroughly enjoyed.
Electrifying. Inspiration for Arsenal.